Hello guys, good morning and welcome to Ansarkari. So in this video, we'll be analyzing the important articles of 21st of April 2023. So let us start with today's analysis video. So here, 5 soldiers have been killed as militants. They attack army truck in Punch. And you can see in this picture the incident. So it was there in the Pir Panjal Valley in Jammu. So that's very sad news. So in this picture, you can see the white tiger cubs with their mother after they were released for public viewing in Delhi Zoo. So these are present in Delhi Zoo, white tigers. So when we talk about the Joshimath situation, मतलब एक point of time के बाद we did not see anything coming up related to it in the newspaper. So final solution क्या हुआ? कुछ भी नहीं हुआ. As far as we are concerned, क्योंकि ऐसा कुछ major step नहीं लिया गया है, तो मतलब after certain point of time, things they settle down on their own. So no permanent solution has been taken, and the Char Dham Yatra also begins. So rehabilitation की बात करें, residents जो जोशीमठ में रहते थे, they're still stranded. So there's no permanent solution which they get. So this is Devbhoomi Uttarakhand, and you can see Yamunotri, Gangotri, Kedarnath, and Badrinath. These are the Char Dham pilgrimages. So here you can see in this picture Panch Kedar, that includes Kedarnath, Tunganath, Rudranath, Madhmeshwar, Kalpeshwar. Then there are Panch Badri, so Badrinath or Vishal Badri, then Yog Dhyan Badri, Bhavishya Badri, and Vridha Badri and Adi Badri. And then we have Panch Prayags, Vishnu Prayag, Nanda Prayag, Karna Prayag, Rudra Prayag, Dev Prayag. So इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में हमें रिवर्स का भी पता होना चाहिए कि कौन से रिवर्स के कॉन्फ्लुएंस से कौन सा प्रयाग बनता है. एंड माउंटेन्स भी इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाते हैं फॉर दिस थिंग. देयर इज दिस Manskhand Mandir Mala mission. So this is under the leadership of the Chief Minister of Uttarakhand. That 16 temples of Kumaon, they are being developed with world-class facilities in the first phase of this mission. And this is on lines of Char Dham. So mythological temples of the first phase under this mission has been mentioned here. So these temples they become important, and इनमें से कोई historically अगर बहुत important temple रहा है, so that becomes important. So you can just go through the names once. And then यहाँ पे हम local products के promotion की भी बात कर रहे हैं. One district, two product scheme, which is there. So tourists जो जाते हैं, they who visit these places, they should spend 5% of their travel spending on the local products. So PSLV C55 mission ISRO to carry out in-orbit scientific experiments using spent PS4. So ISRO, it is scheduled to launch this polar satellite launch vehicle C55, this is PSLV C55 mission, and it will carry out in-orbit scientific experiments by using spent PS4, which is fourth and final stages of PSLV, as an orbital platform. And it also has the Singapore Stelios 2. We have talked about it before also, which is its primary satellite. And then it also has Lumlet 4 as a co-passenger satellite. So It is basically the mission. It has PSLV orbital experimental module, where the spent PS4 of the launch vehicle would be utilized as an orbital platform to carry out the scientific experiments through non-separating of the payloads. So for scientific experiments, it would be helping us. And apart from that, Telios 2, it is from Singapore, it is Singapore satellite. So it will be able to provide all weather day and night coverage, and it is capable of imaging at 1 meter full polarimetric resolution. So these are some important technical details regarding it. So next G20 meeting is there in Srinagar. So smart policing in slick bunkers and realigned roads have been planned. So security situation, obviously, that becomes very important. So Srinagar, it will have slick bunkers and smart policing in place ahead of this working group meeting of tourism delegates from G20 nations. So Srinagar Smart City Limited has been tasked to facelift and renovate the existing bunkers on the main roads. And in this picture, you can see this is Shankaracharya Hill Temple in Srinagar. So all the tourist places, they become important. And so there is a Shere Kashmir International Convention Center on Dal Lake, which is the main venue of the meeting. Coming to the editorial section, so a new edge to fight against tuberculosis. So जो भी important missions है regarding it, whether it is like bacterial infection है, viral infection है, ये सब पता होना चाहिए. India ने क्या missions लिए, क्या steps लिए हैं, what are the vaccines if they're available, and then we also talk about the multi-drug resistant TB also, उसका क्या meaning होता है. So ये कुछ common चीजें हैं जो पता होनी चाहिए regarding it. So there was this One World TB Summit which was held in Varanasi, UP on 24th of March. So the Prime Minister instilled fresh energy to the global tuberculosis elimination response and reiterated India's commitment to spearhead this effort. So India में क्या target है of completely eliminating TB. Apart from that, there are some lessons from COVID-19 response also. So the COVID-19 pandemic, it provides a good reflection point. Even with innumerable challenges, countries, they were able to counter COVID-19 by drawing upon the innate human spirit to adapt, learn, experiment, and innovate. So these are the key words: adapt, learn, experiment, and then innovate. So pandemic has shown us that together we can overcome unprecedented adversity. And if we could do it to overcome COVID-19, we can and must certainly do it to end tuberculosis also. So we can't say that something is impossible, or we can say in positive sense that everything is possible if we stand together. Because if we were able to overcome COVID-19, then everything is possible. So over the last few years, India, it has made significant progress in its efforts to end tuberculosis. So we have the National TB Elimination Program, which was previously known as the Revised National Tuberculosis Control Program. So it has introduced several measures to find out, to notify, and treat the TB cases. And apart from that, case notifications, they have been increasing from 15 lakh in 2014 to over 24 lakh in 2022. So this has reflected, this is reflecting ki program ki jo expand hai, that is that is like जो reach है that is expanded and it has improved the detection measures. So हम easily या बोल सकते हैं जो हमारे detection measures हैं वो भी ज़्यादा expand हुए हैं with time. And novel approaches includes engagement with the private sector also. So definitely private sector भी role play कर रहा है. There's launch of social support provisions, introduction of diagnostic tools, new drug regimens हैं, and that's the thing. So there was a national TB prevalence survey in India, जिससे हमें पता चला कि 64% of the people with the infectious TB they did not seek care. So जब एक point of time के बाद ये थोड़ा severe हो जाता है and then you go for your test, then only you are able to find out कि you're diagnosed with TB. But उससे पहले ऐसे कोई major symptoms हमें देखने को नहीं मिलते except cough and weight loss like symptoms. So as a result, जो national level estimates है, they suggest that for every person notified with TB, we miss detecting almost 2 more cases. So innovation lies at the core of ending TB, and India can lead the way in this area. And it's also heartening to see the establishment of centers of excellence. So centers of excellence बनाए गए हैं, they have been set up all across India, जो facilitate करेंगे collaboration between the Indian Council of Medical Research Laboratories and private sector. So it is possible, therefore, to strengthen and expand research and development efforts for TB also, and to develop new tools that will help India meet the end TB targets. So TB target अगर हम बात करें इंडिया में completely elimination की, तो that is 2025. And world के लिए जो बाकी countries के लिए global target year is 2030, but India has preceded that by 5 years. So we have this target year of 2025. So prioritize the TB vaccine trials. So first, for any infectious disease, vaccine is what makes elimination possible. So vaccine बहुत important role play करती है. So we do have this BCG vaccine, TB के लिए vaccine है, but it does not adequately protect the adolescent and adults who are at the highest risk for developing and spreading TB. But इतना ज़्यादा protection नहीं provide करती है. तो COVID-19 vaccines थी, they were developed within a year, and we must definitely prioritize and pick up the pace to find an effective TB vaccine. So अगर COVID-19 के लिए हमने from the beginning, from scratch, from zero we started, and एक साल के अंदर अंदर we were able to develop a COVID-19 vaccine, तो definitely TB के case में भी this must be at our priority कि एक effective TB vaccine के लिए we need to work in a targeted manner. So there are currently over 15 TB vaccine candidates in the pipeline, and we must ensure that their clinical trials, they are prioritized to assess their efficacy in various community settings and for different target groups. Second चीज आती है, पहली अभी हमने बात करी वैक्सीन से रिलेटेड. सेकेंड इज फॉर टेस्टिंग एंड डायग्नोसिंग टीबी. इसके लिए हमें चाहिए मोर एक्सेसिबल एंड अफोर्डेबल setup, so much so that each person with suggestive symptoms or the frontline workers, they can test and they can get the results within minutes at minimal cost. So testing and diagnosing थोड़ा affordable, accessible होना चाहिए. And point of care test such as home based test जैसे COVID-19 के लिए है, allowed decentralized rapid low cost diagnostics to provide the results within minutes. So similarly TB के केस में भी कुछ ऐसा ही हमें प्लान करना जरूरी है. And new innovations like nasal and tongue swab based test for TB, they can be a game changer. So जैसे COVID-19 के लिए we have these types of tests, so this type of innovation in TB can prove to be a game changer. Third चीज आ जाती है development and introduction of new therapeutic molecules. They can play a crucial role in the long run. So new therapeutic molecules is the third thing. So while we continue to invest in drug discovery, we must also scale up newer and more effective regimens and also dip into our armory to repurpose the existing drugs for TB. So in this case, maybe we need more research and development. So shorter, safer, and more effective regimens do exist, and that includes the 1 HP regimen for latent TB infections, and we have 4-month regimen for the drug susceptible TB, 6-month regimen hai for drug resistant TB. So the evidence on these regimens, that is clear timelines for scale up, however, they have been too long. So appropriate policy frameworks, they are also need of the hour. Finally, part of the process of strengthening the innovations ecosystem, it also involves creating regulatory and policy frameworks that smoothen the rollout of proven tools to reach people with as little delay as possible. So regulatory and policy framework should be the next focus area when we talk about TB, and this requires greater collaboration. So सिर्फ policy makers और private sector के बीच में नहीं, but even between product developers, scientists, and clinical researchers across the country and even across regions. So collaboration between all these different stakeholders is very important. So harmonization of standards and regulatory processes between countries can enable mutual recognition of evidence-based standards and licenses, and it can save critical time towards the rollout. So not just within the country, but collaboration between countries would also be an important thing. Moving to the next article here, create economic opportunities to reap India's demographic dividend. So we'll be talking about this. So कल भी हमने इंडिया की population से regarding and demographics से regarding बात की थी. So latest जो state of world population report है वो पब्लिश की जाती है बाय यूनाइटेड नेशंस पॉपुलेशन फंड, एंड कल हमने इसी के बारे में बात करी थी. तो दे हैव ऑफिशियली स्टैम्प्ड व्हाट हैज बीन नोन फॉर अ व्हाइल. हम सबको पहले से पता था, बट नाउ दिस गेट्स दैट ऑफिशियल स्टैम्प कि इंडिया विल बिकम द मोस्ट पॉपुलस कंट्री इन मिड 2023, surpassing China's 142.5 crore by about 3 million. So this is going to be the gap. This is obviously as per the estimates as of now. So India has had a vacillating relationship with the size of its population. And in the socialist era, the growing population, it was convenient excuse to explain India's poverty and the state's inability to improve the average standards of living. So this seeded deranged sterilization programs that violently compromised dignity and freedom. So this was one aspect when we talk about कि पहले के time में जब socialist era की हम बात करते हैं in the Indian context, तो how sterilization these things were proved, and these were like they were like shown ki how they were in a way we can say ki India's way of dealing with increased population. But after globalization and opening up of our economy in the 1990s, it saw India as a vast, untapped market with fortunes at the bottom of the pyramid that framed population as an advantage. So definitely India की population इतना large market size हमारे लिए beneficial भी रहा है, and India's large working age population है और जिसको हम demographic dividend भी बोलते हैं, that is relative to the developed countries. They were where the workforce was aging. So developed countries mein workforce was aging, and at the same time India mein we had the largest working age population. So this is called the labor wage arbitrage and valuable economic opportunities is वजह से India में आई. So Indian numbers they are behind the skilled and the unskilled labor that power workforces in West Asia and Africa, and undergird the business process outsourcing projects from developed European countries and the United States. They're increasingly a significant component of university enrollment abroad also. So this relative prosperity, though it is unable to solve India's crisis of economic inequality, so ये कुछ problems भी हैं when we talk about there is huge economic inequality in India. We have the Oxfam report जो show करती है the intensity and the level, the scale of inequality in India. So that has, however, busted the myth of forced sterilization and legal limits on the family sizes being key to population control. So कल हमने policy measures के बारे में बात करी थी in Financial Express. So despite overtaking China, India's population growth slow हो रही है. So National Family Health Survey 5 जो latest हुआ था, which provides us with the data for 2019 to 21, that total fertility rate it had for the first time dipped to become the replacement level of 2.1%. So 2.1. So कल हमने बात करी थी कि इंडिया का total fertility rate 2 है and replacement level is 2.1. So वो उससे कम हो गया है. So India's population is forecast to grow from its current 1.4 billion to 1.67 billion by 2050. And 1.7 billion हो जाएगी around 2064 के around. So जो पहले population से regarding debates होते थे, they did not count for the climate crisis and the fact that many migrants, after years of skilled and unskilled labor abroad, they were becoming permanent immigrants. So ये कुछ new emerging trends हैं and problems है जो emerge हुई हैं with time. So over 16 lakh Indians है, they have renounced their citizenship since 2011. So इसका number भी increase हो रहा है. And economic opportunity more than the national pride shapes the working population's aspiration, and in its absence, a naturally deaccelerating population will be of limited advantage. So that's how our demographics is changing, it's reshaping. इससे क्या challenges हैं आज के time में, कैसे और नए challenges emerge हुए हैं, इसके बारे में हमने थोड़ी आज बात करी. So India pulls back on zero dose children as per UNICEF. So 2.7 million as the zero dose children are those who have not received even a single routine vaccine. So the unvaccinated population can pose a risk in the future because of their lower immunity levels, according to UNICEF. So India's fighter jet conundrum क्या है? So यहाँ पे we'll be looking into things and from the defense perspective and like technological developments. So Indian Air Force, it is trying to keep up its strength of fighter squadrons as its fleet struggles with the gradual phase out of the existing jets as well as delays in the order. So जो existing fleet है हमारे पास, that is nearing the phasing out टाइम एंड जो न्यू ऑर्डर्स हैं उनमें डिलेज देखने को मिल रहे हैं. तो ये प्रॉब्लम है. दिस इज द कॉनंड्रम जब हम इंडिया में फाइटर जेट्स की बात करते हैं. एंड प्रोक्योरमेंट ऑफ द न्यू जेट्स में इन सब में डिले देखने को मिल रहा है. सो इट इज ऑल्सो प्लेसिंग मच होप इन इंडिजिनसली मैन्युफैक्चर्ड एयरक्राफ्ट. सो सिंस जो अभी हमारे पास फाइटर एयरक्राफ्ट है, फाइटर जेट्स है, वो लाइक फेज आउट होने वाले हैं. बहुत लिमिटेड टाइम बचा है जब लाइक we can use them. So ये एक हमारे लिए opportunity भी है कि we can like bring in the indigenous technology, the indigenously manufactured aircrafts. So indigenous manufactured aircrafts पे भी focus किया जा रहा है. And इस picture में आप देख सकते हो, this is the light combat aircraft stages. And so talking about the present and the future of India's fighter jets, India has laid out an ambitious plan for the acquisition of fighter jets with an added emphasis on indigenously made aircrafts. And the table below it is showing the current makeup of the fleet and its future projections in the procurement. So the sanctioned strength of the fighter squadrons is 42, but abhi current strength 31 hai. So usme 12 are Sukhoi 30 MKI, 6 are Jaguar, 3 are MiG-21, 3 are Mirage 2000, 3 we have MiG-29, 2 are Rafale, and 2 are light combat aircrafts, so which is Tejas. So here the projected strength by 2030 is going to be around 29 to 31, and the projected strength by 2035 would be 35 to 6. So that's there. And future aircraft procurement की बात करें for Indian Air Force, so here we have the numbers, and Indian Navy के लिए भी the numbers have been provided. So India, we have an ambitious plan lined up for the acquisition of over 500 fighter jets, a bulk of them to be indigenously designed and manufactured, with the majority of them being for the Indian Air Force. So, however, these are at various stages of development and procurement. So, LCA, which is the fulcrum of the indigenous jet development program, originally intended as a MiG-21 replacement, has seen a series of delays and it has now come back on track. So कुछ चीजें हमें मतलब डीले भी देखने को मिल रहा है एंड कहीं पे things they are getting on track also. So this is a small update जो हमें पता होना चाहिए. So Supreme Court's ruling of 2018 was a rainbow of hope. So by decriminalizing homosexuality, the court says that it contemplated that stable marriage-like relationships, they could exist between the same-sex persons who do not treat their bond as chance encounters. So indirectly, Supreme Court ने इस चीज को प्रमोट किया है through its ruling of 2018, जहाँ पे Section 377 was taken down, which was जिससे बेसिकली जजमेंट थी कि दी सुप्रीम कोर्ट डीक्रिमिनलाइज्ड होमोसेक्सुअलिटी. तो उसका मतलब ये भी है कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट वाज प्रमोटिंग stable and marriage like relationships between the same sex people, so that for them it is not just a physical relationship but something like a stable emotional relationship also. So in the last 69 years our law, it has evolved to recognize the fact when you decriminalize homosexuality you also realize that these are not just one-off relationships, that these are also comprehensive and stable relationships. So these are the words of CGI. And so that is one way of interpreting this judgment. And 2018 की जो judgment थी, that was the Navteej Singh Johar case, जिसमें 377 was removed. So the court, while decriminalizing homosexuality, had never accepted the same-sex marriage as part of the fundamental right to life and dignity under Article 21. And the petitioners, they have sought a broader interpretation of the Special Marriage Act 1954 by making it gender neutral and read the term spouses into the heterosexual usages of man and woman in the law. So this is the thing, and हम इसको 2 दिन से we are discussing things around legalization of same-sex marriage. सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट का क्या व्यू है, सुप्रीम कोर्ट की कल हमने सारी इंपॉर्टेंट जजमेंट्स देखी थी इससे रिगार्डिंग. एंड today we have this term of rainbow of hope जो Supreme Court is saying that it was the 2018 judgment which was a rainbow of hope for this community. So the concept of marriage transcends contemporary understanding used in a constitutional sense. Marriage provides a framework, and the framework is evolving and not cast in stone. So even जो marriage है, the framework, that also keeps on evolving. And these are the views of Justice Bhatt. So however, the court said that it has to examine whether it was making policy choices, which was for the legislature to make, and whether it was doing something fundamentally contrary to the scheme of 1954 Act. So ये Supreme Court ने बोला कि we are looking into this thing, क्योंकि सेंटर का कहना ये है कि it is the task of the legislature जो इस चीज को legally recognize करेगा. So Supreme Court is also looking into this thing, whether this is like going to be a policy choice. So policy choice hogi, so obviously legislature would be doing the necessary changes and it would be taking up the steps. So Aadhaar authentication for the private use has been proposed. So draft notification proposing the use of the voluntary Aadhaar authentication by non-government entities was released, and draft Aadhaar authentication for the good governance, social welfare, innovation, knowledge amendment rules. They would allow the Aadhaar authentication for promoting ease of living for the residents and enabling better access to services. But these are right now, these are the draft notification. I mean, अभी इसको final go नहीं मिला है. So SCO summit would be hosted by India next month, and Pakistan ki foreign minister is also expected to participate. So SCO से related headquarters का है, members कौन सी countries हैं, and और क्या important initiatives है by SCO. So all that become important. So Supreme Court slams sections of the Special Marriage Act requiring prior notice. So कुछ ऐसे section हैं under this act जहाँ पे आपको पहले notice देना पड़ता है. So it says कि the very object of the Special Marriage Act is to protect the couples, but notice exposes couples to invasion by society. So जहाँ पे जिन sections में आपको पहले notice देना पड़ता है, that is being termed as invasion by society. So like provisions of the Special Marriage Act, it mandates 30-day notice of intent to marry. It is steeped in patriarchy and expose the vulnerable couples to an invasion by society. So स्पेशल मैरिज एक्ट के अंदर आप इंटरफेथ मैरिजेस करते हो, एंड इस केस में ऑब्वियसली अगर आपको 30 डेज पहले नोटिस देना पड़ेगा दैट यू आर गोइंग टू मैरी दिस पर्सन, सो दैट इज लाइक an element of patriarchy है, and obviously this is what is called the invasion by society also. So government is also planning 100 eat right food streets across India. So Health Ministry, in collaboration with the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, it has asked the states and union territories to develop 100 food streets in 100 districts across the country. And the aim of this project is to ensure safe and healthy practices to reduce food-borne illnesses and improve the overall health outcomes. So as per our Union Home Minister, SCO members, they must pool resources, expertise on the disaster resilience. So this is a new emerging area, and especially like after earthquake in Turkey and Syria. So उसके बाद से we also see कि Northern India is also highly susceptible to earthquakes. तो disaster resilience बहुत important हो जाता है. So Union Home Minister Amit Shah has called upon the nations of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization to adopt a collective approach to disaster resilience by pooling the resources and also the expertise and avoiding the duplication of efforts. So efforts, they shouldn't be duplicated, and collaboration becomes important. So SCO members की अगर हम बात करें तो it includes China, India, Pakistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Russia, Tajikistan and Uzbekistan. So ये आप सबको पता होना चाहिए. These all this needs to be on your tips. And apart from that, so SCO would probably be the largest regional organization in the world, representing 40% of the global population, 25% of the global GDP, and 22% of the world total land area. So India believes कि कोई हजार छोटा बड़ा नहीं होता है. It does not leave anyone behind. And oh, sorry for this thing, guys. पता नहीं. It's been highlighted. So, okay, let's move forward. So Buddha's teachings, they can solve most contemporary global problems, says the Prime Minister. So we are having this the Global Buddha Summit, which is being hosted by India. So इसमें से we are trying to take out कि बुद्धा की teachings के through कौन सी हम आज के time में जो problems हैं उनको solve कैसे कर सकते हैं. तो his teachings are still relevant today. So he said that the world was facing the most challenging times of the century due to war, economic crisis, terrorism, and climate change. And all these contemporary global challenges, they can be addressed through the teachings of the Buddha. So this is what he says here. So this is the first Global Buddha Summit, which is being hosted by India. And a better and stable world could be achieved only by considering the nations dealing with a scarcity of resources. So it is the need of the hour that priority of every person and nation should be the interest of the world. So issues की बात हो गई. So the path of Buddha is the path of the future and the path of sustainability. So ये कुछ keywords हैं which can be noted down. And had the world followed Buddha's teachings, it would not have faced the problem of climate change. And Prime Minister, he also gave the example of the mission life, which is lifestyle for environment. And this is an initiative by India. So it was influenced by the inspirations of Buddha. Coming to the world page, here we are seeing Yellen says that US seeks constructive economic ties with China. So we know that China and USA के बीच में अभी relations are not that good and constructive. And specifically Taiwan Strait के ऊपर both the countries are on opposite sides. So that's there. And एक तरीके से we can say कि Cold War is going on between these two countries. So NATO must invite Ukraine into the alliance as per their president of Ukraine. So he says, and recently we saw कि Finland ने join किया है NATO, so that is the latest country to join it. So SpaceX uncrewed Starship explodes shortly after the liftoff. And the rocket has been designed to send the astronauts to the moon, Mars, and beyond. And despite the failure to complete the full 90-minute flight test and reach the orbit, SpaceX declared it a success. So 85 dead and hundreds injured in Yemen crash over $8 aid. So at least 85 people, they were killed and hundreds were injured in a crash at the Ramzan cash handout in Yemen, जहाँ पे हर इंसान को $8 दिए जा रहे थे, which is 5,000 riyal for the end of Ramzan, but इसकी वजह से stampede हुआ and people were killed. So Sudan में things they are not calming down because army chief he rules out talks. So that's the thing. And geography of this area becomes important for us. Coming to the business page. So war against inflation is not yet won. Definitely, abhi we can't declare victory. So premature to declare end to the tightening cycle, says RBI's MPC's member. And no further withdrawal of accommodation remains to be done. So repo rate, it is already at 6.5% level, which is a level that prevailed at the beginning of the previous easing cycle, जो की थी Feb 2019 में. So अभी के लिए we can't say कि जो tightening policy, monetary policy है, that has been withdrawn. So abhi, like, it's still wait and watch wali situation. So time for a hawk's eye. Professor Verma flags the need for greater vigilance in face of the fresh risk such as oil output cut by OPEC plus. So उसकी वजह से definitely crude oil के prices increase हुए हैं, तो inflation और increase हो सकती है, and इसको हम imported inflation भी बोलते हैं. And जो monsoon से related issues हैं, they have also emerged. So उसकी वजह से food prices में भी inflation आने वाले time में it can increase. So it's important to maintain vigil on all these developments in all these fronts. So on the growth front, early warning signs of a possible slowdown, they are visible to a greater extent than in February. So February से compare करें आज के time में sentiments regarding growth. So still we are seeing कि जो warning signs है, things are becoming much more clearer when we talk about the expected slowdown जो आने वाला है. And in the current situation of high inflation, monetary policy does not have the luxury of responding to these growth headwinds. So this is another thing. And monetary policy tackling of inflation, इसके context में हम बहुत ज़्यादा critically analyze कर चुके हैं कि क्या tightening of monetary policy से हमें जो desired results थे in terms of controlling the inflation down, क्या हमें वो मिले हैं, and वो क्यों नहीं मिले, क्या मतलब inflation के पीछे it is not because of the demand side factors कि we are seeing inflation, it is because of the supply side factors. तो measures भी ऐसे होने चाहिए कि we directly target the supply side area and ensure कि supply increase हो जाए. जहाँ तक कि food inflation की भी बात है, तो supply अगर हम adequate amount of supply maintain कर सकेंगे तो obviously inflation भी कम होगा. तो ये सब चीजें हम पहले discuss कर चुके हैं. And जो divergence है between WPI and CPI wholesale and the retail inflation, that is also increasing. So this was also critically analyzed before. So यहाँ पे सिर्फ like forecast है, so इतना important नहीं है. Coming to the main newspaper, so India's quantum computer foray, why it matters. So कल भी हमने quantum mission की बात करी थी. So countries around the world which are investing to accelerate the development of quantum computing, इसमें कुछ ही countries हैं. China है, Germany, France, UK, US, Canada, European Union, and definitely India is also there. And यहाँ पे उनके investment regarding numbers भी दिए हुए हैं. So that's there. So नेशनल क्वांटम मिशन के लिए यूनियन कैबिनेट ने ₹6,000 करोड़ सैंक्शन किया है टू डेवलप क्वांटम कंप्यूटर्स एंड स्केल अप रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट इन दी क्वांटम टेक्नोलॉजीज. सो हमें क्वांटम कंप्यूटर्स क्यों चाहिए, पहला क्वेश्चन यही आएगा. सो नॉर्मल कंप्यूटर्स दे प्रोसेस द इंफॉर्मेशन इन बिट्स, जो कि 1 and 0 के कॉम्बिनेशन में we have for the normal जो conventional computers आज के time में हम use करते हैं. But quantum computers, they have qubits that can process ones and zeros simultaneously. So quantum computers, they are believed to be 100 million times faster than even the most advanced supercomputers. So supercomputers से भी advanced supercomputers की बात कर रहे हैं, उनसे भी they are 100 million times faster. So Google's quantum computer powered by its Sycamore chips with 54 qubits, they are able to carry out an experimental calculation in just 3 minutes and 20 seconds. So the same calculation, अगर हम बात करें on the world's most powerful supercomputer, so that would have taken around 10,000 years. And imagine quantum computers say we are getting things done in minutes and seconds. So quantum computing can accelerate research in areas from health to finance. So you can imagine कि कितना ज़्यादा चीजें ease and कितनी quick हो जाएंगी if we have quantum computers. So क्या ये इंडिया का पहला मिशन है when we talk about the quantum computing? So this is India's first quantum computing mission, true. And 2020 में Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, she said this in the budget speech, कि government has set aside rupees 8,000 crore for the national mission on quantum technologies and applications. So definitely this is the first mission of India. And how these funds will be used, जो भी recently दिए गए हैं, तो they will be given to the technical and research institutes for research and development, and they can then collaborate with startups and other firms so that they can develop the quantum computers and their applications. So what progress has India made so far? So India does not have many startups which are working on quantum applications. So यहाँ पे potential बहुत ज़्यादा है, and however a few they are working with the global companies. So कुछ ऐसी startups है जो global companies के साथ भी काम कर रही है on quantum, and Indian IT firms like TCS and Tech Mahindra, they're also working with the technical institutes to support research. So 2021 में the government launched a quantum simulator QSIM, allowing researchers to simulate the quantum computation on supercomputers. So और भी बहुत सारी firms and countries हैं which are working, ये हमने starting में ही देख लिया था, which are the countries which are involved in quantum computing. Coming to Financial Express now. So here we see कि Supreme Court tax ruling, it may add to litigation. So chances of fresh cases both by tax department as well as taxpayers are high. And IT-80's arm length price is not final, so more uncertain times. So transfer pricing adjustments sought by India used to be very high until financial year 15, and income separation has been revealed in the TP audit. So you can see this. So advanced pricing arrangements, safe harbor rules, and the mutual agreement procedure have since helped reduce the TP adjustments. So TP is the transfer pricing adjustments जो किए जाते हैं. So fresh cases के लिए basically expectations ये हैं कि आने वाले time में they would be increasing. And Apple 2-3 दिन से न्यूज में चल रहा है. So Apple it aims to increase इंडिया का जो आउटपुट है by 3 times. So recently बॉम्बे में Apple का स्टोर ओपन किया गया है. That's there. So इससे job opportunities भी होंगी, manufacturing and sale भी increase होगी. So that's there. So more RCAP e-auctions they are likely. So lenders they may seek value maximization through more rounds. And the lenders to the debt-laden Reliance Capital, they have expressed their inability to guarantee a finality of insolvency process through the second e-auction, as they would opt for further negotiations for value maximization. So major lenders LIC है and EPFO है. So they have not agreed ki extended challenge mechanism, which is the second e-auction that is going to be the final one. So data is crucial for success. As we say ki data is the new oil. So data is very, very crucial for the success of aspirational block program and otherwise also. So there's a need to make data visually available to aid decision making. So obviously data is area में बहुत help करता है when it comes to informed decision making. So as per the experts, जो India में advantage of this demographic dividend that is fizzling out. So we might miss the bus अगर हम अभी right time पे जो required steps है if we don't take those steps. So we need to improve the employability of working age people. सो यहाँ पे स्किल्स बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाते हैं. एंड इंडिया इज टू बिकम द मोस्ट पॉपुलेटेड कंट्री दिस ईयर. सो you can have a look at the views of different people. So demographic dividend India की बात करें, China की बात करें, यहाँ पे comparison दे रखा है. And India का you can see कि we were at peak in 2012 and gradually it is slowing down. So 2060 तक figure दे रखा है. तो जहाँ पे 2060 में इंडिया और चाइना दोनों सेम पोजीशन पे होंगे. So 2012 में चाइना में चाइना पीक पे था 1988 में. सो शार्प डिक्लाइन हुआ. सो उसके बाद 2012 के बाद भी बहुत शार्प डिक्लाइन हुआ. 2024 तक चाइना मतलब उसमें एल्डरली पॉपुलेशन बहुत ज्यादा हो जाएगी एंड उसके बाद फिर से चाइना में 2024 के बाद इट वुड रिवाइव बैक अगेन. बट इंडिया में आप देख सकते हो कि ग्रेजुअली बहुत स्लो स्पीड पे स्टेडली इंक्रीज हुआ. 2012 में पीक आई एंड उसके बाद ग्रेजुअली ही डिक्लाइन होगा 2060 तक. सो 2060 तक दोनों कंट्री सेम पोजीशन में होगी. सो वर्किंग एज पॉपुलेशन की अगर हम परसेंटेज फॉर्म में बात करें जो कि है मतलब 15 से 64 ईयर्स के बीच में जो पॉपुलेशन है दोनों कंट्रीज में, इंडिया में 2015 में 66% पॉपुलेशन थी जो इस एज गैप के अंदर फॉल करती थी. 2020 में 67.3 इंक्रीज हुई. 2023 में 68% पॉपुलेशन है जो इंडिया में जो वर्किंग एज पॉपुलेशन है 68%. सो चाइना में भी इट इज लाइक 2015 में 73% थी एंड आज के टाइम में इट इज 69. सो इट इज ग्रेजुअली डिक्लाइनिंग एंड दैट्स द अपॉर्चुनिटी आल्सो फॉर इंडिया. बट अगर स्टेप्स नहीं लिए तो ऑब्वियसली नथिंग कैन बी डन, देन इट वुड बी अ डिजास्टर फॉर अस. सो इंडिया में जो फर्टिलिटी रेट की बात है वो हम कर चुके हैं. दैट इज फॉलन बिलो द रिप्लेसमेंट रेट. दैट्स द थिंग जो हमें पता होना चाहिए. तो गिग इकोनॉमी की जब हम बात करते हैं तो वी आर सीइंग अनरेस्ट इन डिफरेंट एरियाज. सो अभी ब्लिंकिट के वर्कर्स थे, दे वर एट strike. So government must not intervene, but ensuring workers' welfare could determine the health of India's startup economy. So around 2,500 delivery partners at Blinkit, they had gone on strike to protest a reduced compensation of rupees 15 per delivery, down from rupees 25. So per delivery उनको जो compensation दिया जाता था 25 rupees था, अब उसको rupees 15 कर दिया गया. So this was the reason why they were protesting. So workers claim कि जो incentive था for a distance traveled for over 1 kilometer, it has also been lowered, and which they say it will result in 40 to 50% lower income. So obviously main concern उनका यही था. Then urban company है that did address the grievances by trimming the commissions that it charged from the top tier of the beauty services partners from 30% to 25%, but it'll also allow the partners one, no penalty no show, and two was no penalty cancellation. So this was basically कुछ changes urban company में किए गए. So यहाँ पे different examples mentioned है. So all companies they must meet employees halfway while making sure their business models they are intact. And so however, it is in Blinkit's interest to try and resolve the issue before it gets out of the hand and invites political attention. So agitations, they are unavoidable, but Blinkit must try and stave off the government intervention. So already workers, they are believed to have approached the Gurugram's district commissioner, following which Haryana Labour Department sent a notice to Blinkit. So इस चीज को political ना होने देना would be a good thing, and political हो गया तो obviously then दूसरे तरीके से चीजें की जाएंगी. सो मोर ओवर जो ऑल इंडिया गिग वर्कर्स यूनियन है, इट हैज प्रॉमिस्ड टू फाइट फॉर द राइट्स ऑफ द वर्कर्स. And Blinkit must quickly address the demands of its employees. So there is enough evidence, even if it is only anecdotal, of delivery workers being paid inadequately for what is a grueling schedule. And so the government should desist from legislating on the issue, and it must also refrain from boasting about the number of jobs being generated by e-commerce sector and work to create an environment that would spur employment in general, as it is doing with the productivity linked incentive schemes. बट इस चीज को लाइक गिग इकोनॉमी की जब हम बात करते हैं, यहाँ पे हमने जस्ट एग्जांपल्स देखे. सो प्रॉपर पॉलिसी, प्रॉपर लॉ होना चाहिए, रेगुलेशन की बात होनी चाहिए. अभी लाइक इट्स काइंड ऑफ मोर ऑफ इनफॉर्मल थिंग. सो इसको फॉर्मलाइज, प्रॉपर स्ट्रक्चर होना, so that जो workers का interest, people who are gig workers, that remains protected. So that is important. So services exports growth की बात करें तो services exports इंडिया के लिए आज के टाइम में तो extremely important हो चुके हैं. So net exports of non-software services that rises, and business services exports also gain traction. So चाहे आप professional and management services की बात करो तो आप देख सकते हो कि numbers is just increasing. So global capability centers ramp up the headcount, and this is also rising. So the sector is increasing and developing. Finally, coming to Indian Express newspaper. So let's have a look here also. So SEO Summit would be there in Goa. And this we have seen that with China posing the bigger challenge, there are efforts to dial down the tension with Pakistan. However, with Pakistan going to polls this year and India next year, diplomatic ties, they are at risk. So invitation to Pakistan is a significant outreach in a year of G20 and SEO summits when India wants to showcase its diplomacy. So जब section 377 was read down 2018 judgment में Navdeep Singh Johar case, so CJ says कि maybe in need to redefine marriage. So obviously जब हम मैरिज की बात करते हैं तो अभी हमने देखा था द हिंदू में भी कि मैरिज इज इंस्टीट्यूशन जो इवॉल्व हुआ है विद टाइम. सो यहाँ पे लीगलाइजेशन ऑफ सेम सेक्स मैरिजेस की बात हो रही है, तो लेट्स सी कि क्या होगा फाइनल चीज एंड हाउ दैट वुड बी लाइक लीगलाइज. जो स्पेशल मैरिज एक्ट है क्या उसको जेंडर न्यूट्रल बनाया जाएगा, एंड उसके बाद और भी बहुत सारे चैलेंजेस हैं, चीजें हैं जो रह जाएंगी रिगार्डिंग दी होमोसेक्सुअल couples in this community. So IMF, it is optimistic about the growth of China's economy. So that's a good thing even for the global economy. So strong rebound forecast to generate positive spillovers for other countries also. So इससे definitely अगर China की economy अच्छे से grow करेगी तो globally जो positive spillovers होने वाले हैं इसकी वजह से they would be aiding the development of other countries. So there are like यहाँ पे mentioned here top 10 archaeological discoveries in China in 2022. So ये हमारे लिए इतना important नहीं है because it's like all related to China. So accurate and timely data forms the bedrock of the policy making, and measures need to be taken to strengthen the statistical system also. So that India is on course to surpass China's most populous country in the world in few months. It is based on projection in the State of the World Population Report 2023. So, however, India's own census enumeration exercise hai, which was meant to take place 2021 mein, but is now been postponed to 2024-25. So, the results of the National Statistical Office Consumption Expenditure Survey, likely to be available by December this year, they may now be released only after the general elections. So, जो data dispersal है exercises उनमें delay देखने को मिल रहा है. And data collected by the government provides an understanding of the various facets and phenomena across sectors. For instance, हम utility की बात करें of the consumption expenditure data that is not just limited to estimating poverty and inequality. So these surveys, they are also used for rebasing GDP and CPI. So जब like timely availability नहीं होगी of these types of surveys and data, so reliance on other data sets only increases. So we'll obviously be looking for alternatives and attempting to fill the void. Several economists, they have put forth their estimates. However, these estimates, they are based on different data sources. So यहाँ पे ये vulnerability भी आ जाती है कि आप कौन से data set पे rely करोगे. So on the other hand, the State of the Working India 2021 by Azim Premji University estimated a sharp increase in poverty during the pandemic. So यहाँ पे different estimates दे रखे हैं. So data that is accurate and timely forms the bedrock of the policy making. So timely availability and accuracy of data is very important. And while postponing the census exercise, it was perhaps understandable in the initial months of the pandemic. This time, obviously, logic was clear and it was understandable कि इस situation में अभी census करना is not possible. But इसको अब आप ढीली करते जा रहे हो, तो that is not supported. So absence of such data also impinges on the ability of the policymakers to make well-judged choices. So policy making में भी एक ये hurdle हो जाएगा, and junking the data collected, stealing its collection and release only raises further questions over the credibility of the statistical system. So इसलिए reforms in the statistical system, they also become important. So such missteps, they need to be avoided, and measures, they need to be taken to strengthen the statistical system and safeguard its independence. So LIGO India के बारे में हम already बहुत ज़्यादा discuss कर चुके हैं. This is again a repeat. So there was first ever water body census जो किया गया, and इसमें number 1 पे we have the state of West Bengal, जहाँ पे सबसे ज़्यादा ponds and reservoirs हैं. So water body count, states with most water bodies, West Bengal top, then Uttar Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Orissa, Assam, Jharkhand, Tamil Nadu. And ऐसी states and UTs जहाँ पे least water bodies है, so there are in Sikkim, Chandigarh, Delhi, Arunachal Pradesh. So India का जो population growth है, growth rate, that is on a steady decline since 1990s. So decadal growth rate है जो population का, वो steadily decline हो रहा है, क्योंकि total fertility rate है which was at 6 1950s में, it has come down to 2 in 2019-21. So total fertility rate is the number of children that a woman expects to have during her entire life. So पहले it was 6 and अब ये 2 हो चुका है. So अगर हम इस ग्राफ को भी समझने की कोशिश करें, तो जो रेड लाइन है अगर आप देखोगे, तो दैट इज द ग्रोथ रेट ऑफ पॉपुलेशन. सो यू कैन सी कि वी वर एट पीक इन 1971, उसके बाद से एक लाइक हॉरिजॉन्टली हमने मूव किया है, देन वी आर सीइंग अ डिक्लाइन इन द पॉपुलेशन ग्रोथ रेट इन इंडिया. So this is a figure still 2011, but population growth rate is declining steadily since 1990. So this is a correct statement. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for joining us. And there's also a PDF link which has been provided in the description box. And thank you for joining us for today. Do subscribe to our channel and hit the like button for this video.